Alright, today we'll be doing a compression test. To begin a compression test, first we should number the plugs in case we don't know. They're already pre-numbered, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we disable our fuel and spark. Disable spark. We disconnect our ignition coil. This is what changes the 12 volts that comes from the battery to 60,000 volts, which is sent to plug wires. Then we disable fuel. Disable fuel, we simply remove the fuel pump fuse.
We're marking the test.
Now what we do is we remove all our spark plug wires. There are our spark plugs. Now we remove all 4 spark plugs. This is our spark plug number 1, and we repeat the same process for all 4 spark plugs. Alright, now that we've removed all our spark plugs, we put in our compression tester into the spark plug hole. Now we crank the engine about 5 times to get an accurate compression reading. Alright, go. As you can see, our compression is about 150, what was about 160. So that is a good compression. There should be no more than a 15% difference between each of the 4 cylinders, and 160 again is a good compression. Anything lower than 100 will not fire, and that'll indicate a dead cylinder. And this is cylinder 2, which you can also see it's about 160 psi, which is a good compression ratio. This is also about 160 psi, and it's another good compression. So now we'll do cylinder 4. And this is cylinder 4, our final cylinder. This was also about 160 psi before it went down. Alright, now suppose one of our cylinders was below the 15% difference level and did not have 160 psi. What we would do then is a wet test. It's basically the same procedure, but this time, before putting the compression tester into the spark plug hole, we'll insert a little bit of motor oil. Extremely little bit. This motor oil will sit around the rings in the cylinder, creating a better seal, which in theory should bring up the compression. Okay. Now if our wet test fails and compression still doesn't come up, we need to determine where the compression is being lost. To do that, we have this tool, put it in our spark plug hole, and we would inject air into there. Make sure our piston, we first must make sure that our piston is at the bottom dead center at the beginning of compression stroke. This makes sure that all the valves are shut completely, and we should not be losing compression. So now once we put air in there, we should be able to hear where it's coming from. If air is being released from our dipstick or up here, this oil cap thing, we can determine that where blow-by is occurring and we're losing compression due to. Now, if our wet test fails and we still have a difference between each cylinder's compression, we need to determine where the compression is being lost. To do that, we do this air pressure test. What we do is we have to ensure that our piston is at bottom dead center at the beginning of a compression stroke. At the beginning of compression stroke, all the valves are closed, so we should have full compression, no compression should be lost. So all we do is simply hook this thing into the spark plug hole, and we put air into here. Now we should be able to hear where the air is coming out from. If the air comes out of our air cleaner, we know that our intake valve is defective. If the air comes out of our dipstick, our oil dipstick, we know that blow-by is occurring, and we know blow-by is occurring and that the rings are gone. Now, if air comes out of the tailpipe, we know that the exhaust valve is defective, and that's how we do a compression test.